How the hell is this still happening?
Tracking experts are hard to come by.
The tracking is not working.
Tracking breaks or doesn't work. It's just a vicious cycle and a loop.
Mistrust, communication as well.
You need to know what you're asking, right? You need to know what you're looking for.
What is a unique click?
Apples versus oranges.
Are people speaking the same language or not at all?
Everyone has their own calculation. Throttling, for example, can also be used for other purposes which are not so ethical.
It's weak, there are many hops, it's very fragile.
From a tracking perspective, we are still in the Stone Age.
We have dodgy operators and dodgy affiliates.
Yes.
Welcome to Tracking the Truth. Today's episode is The Tracking is Not Working, and joining me is Clint Griscti, CEO of APD. Clint, welcome.
Thank you.
Clint, would you like to give us a bit of an intro about yourself?
Sure. So I've been in the industry now for 18 plus years. Started off on the technical side, on the network security engineering side. Moved over into a project management role before, and then our paths crossed at a certain company. And since then, I had the luxury of working for Mr. Green and Kazumo before founding APD, which is a marketing acquisition partner, primarily focused on data and traffic.
Thank you. So just to open, everyone says they're data-driven. Mm-hmm. But in iGaming, the moment you compare numbers across system, reality splits. Mm-hmm. Affiliates are told the tracking platform isn't working. Affiliates assume the operator is wrong. And the same campaign end up with 3 different routes, right? So the first question is, when people say tracking isn't working, what do they usually mean?
That's a very broad question. And I guess you need to break down the different parts that make up the whole tracking solution, right? You've got the affiliates, who are the traffic ninjas and superstars on that side of things. Then you've got the affiliate program, which maybe to provide a bit more explanation for our audience, you have different affiliate softwares out there, such as My Affiliates and others. And then the brand chooses which affiliate software they want to use and build an affiliate program around that affiliate software. And then you have the brand, which is ultimately receiving the conversions and funneling that data up. But when it comes to the click side of things, that is where, let's say, the chaos starts, right? Or the jungle or the matrix, whichever word tickles your fancy the most. So there are a number of reasons why tracking cannot work or doesn't work or breaks or is not going to be 100% tallied, shall we say that. And you need to start from the source of where that click started, right? So you're starting off at the ad click level normally. So if you have 2 core traffic sources, one being the organic side, being a SEO or organic social media or whatever it is, and then you've got the paid side, paid social, paid Google, and so on and so forth. So a click on an ad can be a text link, it can be many different kinds of links. So already you have different formats for different types of links. And then what you have is you have the challenge that an affiliate is probably signed up to minimum 10 plus affiliate programs, right? So they're running across 10 different brands. All of them have their own, let's call them qualms or interesting structures, right? So everyone has their own way of measuring and tracking clicks. Even though a click is a click, let's just be clear about that. But obviously, and then the affiliates need to find a way to aggregate that data in a manner where they can see everything in what I like to call the central source of truth.
Okay, so let's not go too much in depth right now. Okay. When we have a dispute and someone says, or an affiliate says, the tracking is not working, mm-hmm. What does he say? What is the dispute about?
I mean, the tracking is not working. I mean, if they are seeing a conversion showing up in their systems, but it's not showing up in the affiliate program, that could be one way why they would say tracking is not working. If you're comparing clicks, you might have a situation where one system is showing more clicks than another system. Why that is, and then we can delve into more detail if we'd like to. Or there's simply a broken link because the brand decided to change the landing page, not inform the affiliate managers who are managing the relationship, and suddenly it's pointing to a 404, which would be a blank page, or the link just is broken, right? So there's a number of reasons why tracking is not working, is the kind of main statement used, right? It's I don't like to use it as a blame game because I don't think that's fair. I think it's more kind of understanding really and truly what's happening across the different platforms and understanding why that might be happening.
Okay, so when people are comparing, so I'm an affiliate, I'm telling you the tracking is not working, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are people comparing that may not match? What are we comparing? I mean, different clicks, different click points. What are we comparing where, I mean, mismatch may make sense or may not make sense?
From an affiliate perspective.
From an affiliate perspective, even from an operator perspective, right?
I think an operator is a bit different, right? Because the operator is ultimately receiving the last click, which is normally coming from the affiliate program to the brand. So that is, let's say, a bit easier to troubleshoot because it's one click. But the reality is, on the affiliate side, it could be that you have 5, 6, 7, 8 redirects before the affiliate platform click is finally triggered. So there's a lot that can happen in those 7 redirects, which could cause tracking to break.
But here we're going to the redirect, and I think we'll come into that after.
Mm-hmm.
But what are the metrics we're comparing and that are not matching? So when we compare clicks from a platform to another, what are the differences? Why these values don't match?
Okay. So I guess the biggest thing is if you're measuring clicks versus unique clicks, right? So if we're measuring clicks to unique clicks, it's apples versus oranges, right? It's like trying to measure something with 2 different ruler measurements.
So what is a click and what is a unique click?
A click doesn't necessarily need to be unique because you can have the same individual clicking the same ad 5, 6 times, but and then a unique click would count that as 1, right? So what someone might be seeing in their system as 6 clicks is actually 1 click on the other side of the fence.
Okay, so who decides who counts what, right? Who decide, okay, we're counting raw clicks and we're counting unique clicks?
I don't think it's a matter of who decides. I think everyone should have their flexibility to measure things however they want to, but and then they need to understand what they're looking at, right? And also you need to also have an understanding of, if let's say we take unique clicks as the blanket statement, right? Because that's going to be the more accurate one. You could have a situation where you have a fraud bot detector. So it's not going to count those unique clicks because those are fraud bots. But in your system, you have no idea that that's a fraud bot. So you're just going to still count it as a click and therefore you'll have higher clicks.
So what we're saying is the measurement of clicks and unique clicks is all over the place and it's according to whomever wants to define it the way he wants.
I think the best thing to do in that case, especially from an affiliate perspective, is to define what platform they are referring to as their central source of truth, whichever platform that is, right? There are tons of platforms out there. And then understand what the discrepancy between the unique clicks in their system versus the unique clicks in the affiliate program are. Understand that it may be a difference of 10, 20%. I think if it is the discrepancy is higher than 30%, probably have a problem. But if the discrepancy is 10 to 20%, I think that is an acceptable answer, or at least you can be able to move forward with confidence. And that would be the way I would focus on it, right? But you have to always decide what your central source of truth is. And then if there is a discrepancy of 10 to 20%, at least you know that that's the discrepancy. So when and then you're measuring the data, you kind of take an exception that there is a 10 to 20% difference. And as long as that doesn't change over time, then you know that your tracking is stable. If you're at a 10, 20% discrepancy, but then suddenly it goes to 30, 40% in 1 month, chances are something is broken somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, so there is the discrepancies in clicks. There is the discrepancy sometimes in pause back logs, and there is a difference of different click points as well. So what is the more damaging as an affiliate, right? When the information is missing or it's not matching, where is there a red flag there? Because as you say, I mean, clicks, it's difficult to make a measurement because there are different ways of measuring or different way of differentiating them. So you can accept a difference of more or less 30%.
Maximum 30%.
Yeah, more or less 30%, maximum 30%. But what happens if that happens on postback calls, for example?
Postback calls is a bit different because postback calls is a bit easier to troubleshoot because ultimately if one system has sent a postback and the other system has not sent the postback, then it's easier to troubleshoot where the problem lies, right? Because ultimately a postback is nothing more than a server-to-server response. So basically server A sent a postback to server B and server B was supposed to send back a postback to server A confirming whatever action, be it a registration, an FTD, or a qualified FTD. So the nice thing with postbacks, and it is obviously for many reasons the preferred approach, at least for us, definitely the preferred approach, is other than having data in real time, which gives you insights, which especially if you're running expensive channels like Google Ads or paid social, you need that, because otherwise you're hemorrhaging money. But when there are discrepancies there, it's easier to troubleshoot at the end of the day, right? So basically, you can go into the two systems, you can go into the affiliate program, you can go into the click tracking solution of the affiliate and understand, okay, this is the postback we received here. Normally, there will also be the B tag or FID or some form of unique identifier.
So there is a way of tracking it.
There is a way to track it, and that's what makes it easier to troubleshoot.
So clearly there is a bit of confusion. That system is a bit all confused. Does this confusion creates mistrust or distrust by default?
I think it is more a lack of training and education which creates the mistrust as opposed to anything else.
So the confusion doesn't cause...
The confusion doesn't?
Doesn't cause distrust by default.
I mean, obviously, like we're saying, right, if you have 100 clicks showing up in your system and then the affiliate system is seeing 200 clicks, then that calls for further investigation and understanding why, right? And there are numerous different reasons why that could happen. But I don't feel it should be a distrust. I think it should be a matter of better education, better troubleshooting, better tools to understand why that has happened.
Okay, but that's how you feel. But in real life, do you think it does cause friction between an affiliate and operator?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yes, it creates friction for sure. But it goes back down to if you have an affiliate manager whose primary job is to hunt FTDs, and they're trying to fix a very technical problem, which is probably one of the more technical troubleshooting issues you have within the marketing realm. Let me not discredit anything outside of that, to be very clear. Then it's going to be very hard because the person who is trying to explain what the problem is doesn't know what the problem is themselves. So it is then 10 times harder to troubleshoot the problem.
Fair. So this confusion, does it lead to wasted spend and bad optimization decisions sometimes or always?
Yes, it does.
How?
That's the short answer. If you're working with very high costly channels, right? If we take Google Ads being probably one of the most expensive channels in our industry. And let's use for fun the keyword online casino. Each time that is clicked, you're looking at, of course, it varies between markets, but you're looking at about 150 euros per click.
150 euros per click. Okay. And how many clicks would be generated?
I mean, it depends how aggressive your campaign is, right? But obviously,
in average.
I mean, to try and use some stats to give you some answers, if you have $250,000 budget per month on Google Ads within, let's say, the UK market, which is probably one of the more pricey ones, you're looking at 120 division by 100,000 to 150,000, and you have an answer of how many clicks that's going to generate, right? Then you start with the fraud, then you start with the bots. So, and to answer your question on the waste, so the minute that click happens, I want to make sure that that is being generated into a conversion, right? Because that's a very expensive click. You know, even for an affiliate, even if you have a very nice CPA or ref share or hybrid deal, you know, I mean, within 2 clicks, you need to make sure that that converts at most, because otherwise you're already in the red when it comes to the CPA. And this is where if we touch on the optimization, if the postbacks were working as they should be working, then that click is going to send over which keyword was actually clicked on. And when a deposit happens, we don't only notify the affiliate that the deposit happens, but also the deposit value of that. Why? Because if I'm generating deposits on a keyword which is online casino, but I'm generating deposits of 50 euros per player, we have a problem.
Okay, so does this happen often where, there is a problem with the click tracking, with the postback, and you lose a lot of money, you as an affiliate or anyone as an affiliate?
Absolutely. And this is where I have a big problem with the industry and where the tracking situation lies at the moment, because I feel for the affiliates running these very expensive campaigns and not being able to have these insights. And
how often does it happen?
I mean, you ask me to put a percentage on something which is...
I don't know, often, not often.
I would say more often than we expect.
Okay.
And this is what, for me, highlights the great affiliates to the good affiliates, is those that are great know exactly when that is happening, stop the campaigns, pause the campaigns, fix the issue, and reiterate, right?
Okay, so it's just not something which is annoying, right? It's something that has an impact on...
It has an impact on the cost and the optimization, right? And especially if you're doing paid, like SEO, you can maybe get away with that, right? Because you don't really have... I mean, there's still the backlinks and the content, which has a cost to it, don't get me wrong, but at least you can afford to have multiple clicks and not, raise hell.
Yeah.
But if I'm running Google ads and the affiliate tells me, oh, sorry, I changed the landing page, let's say my language will be very creative and colorful.
How does that look?
No, I'll refrain it for off camera.
Okay. So, in a nutshell, how much of your time is spent troubleshooting rather than building and, working on things that could be more interesting?
I think once you have a good base in place and you have good naming conventions, you have a central source of truth, and you'll hear me say this a lot because I think that's one of the most important things, then you can start to innovate, right? So then you can start to be more creative with your, let's call it tracking, right? But if you don't have the base set or the foundations set, and you suddenly go off and start trying to do A/B testing and all kinds of crazy stuff, you're only setting yourself up for failure.
Okay, so what you're saying is depend what you've set up for yourself. So there could be affiliates that spend 90% of their time troubleshooting, and others that have better ground and have more experience, which then do less troubleshooting and more building.
Correct. However, I think that percentage of people who are doing it the right way versus not is starkly low.
Okay, so a lot of people are doing troubleshooting on
Yes.
this. Okay. How often is the tracking platform, the one that is blamed? When there are these arguments and whatever. I mean, we saw it in forums that, the tracking is not working. So it's my affiliates or whomever. How often does that happen?
I mean, you probably can answer that question better than I can. But I know that the affiliate software is always, being the middleman, is always going to get the blame, right? Because the affiliate is saying the tracking is not working to the brand. The brand is then coming to you and saying the tracking is not working. So it's just a vicious cycle and a loop. So you're always going to get the brunt of it. Is that merited or not? Depends, let's say, on the affiliate software, right? But from a click perspective, most affiliate software companies out there, we're not talking postbacks now, we're talking pure clicks. Yeah. Being redirected to the brand, most software providers are quite accurate. I would say 99% accurate. So if there's a problem, unless the server went down, which of course that's a very different story. But then there are other things you can do, right? And there are, let's say, affiliate software programs outside of the industry. So I don't put any bad shade on anyone inside the industry, where you can do throttling, for example, which is basically where you throttle the amount of clicks and say 10% of these clicks I will hold and wait and assess them. So throttling is used for fraud. That's the good case, or let's call it the ethical reason for doing it, to make sure that there isn't a source which is sending fraudulent traffic. But of course, it can also be used for other purposes which are not so ethical.
Okay, and why would one use that in a non-ethical way?
We work in an industry which is bold, brave, and both white and grey, and we cannot expect the industry to be holier than holy.
Okay, fair. Okay, let's go a bit on the cause, right? So the cause of the confusion and whatever. So the first one we spoke about is not comparing the same metrics. Okay, so how often does the definition of the metrics or not comparing the same metrics happens? Is it all the time, or are people speaking the same language or not at all?
I mean, we've had this discussion probably in the past.
For sure.
Where net gaming revenue, everyone has their own calculation. I mean, that for me is not only mind-boggling, but absurd, to say the least, you know? I mean, we can have the argument between the sports net revenue calculation and the casino net revenue calculation, and I will accept that. But casino, it is total bets minus total wins minus bonuses minus jackpot contributions.
Okay, but let's stick to tracking. Let's stick.
Because you said the metrics.
Yeah, but let's stick to tracking, right? If one is saying raw clicks and the other one is saying unique clicks, but they're calling them clicks, how often that definition changes, right?
I think that's kind of more how you, just like when you were trying to qualify a new lead or a new prospect, I think the same needs to happen when you're trying to troubleshoot and qualify what we're talking about, right? So the first step is to say, okay, what clicks are you looking at, right? In which platform are you looking at them? Because that already will narrow things down a lot.
But do people understand that on the other side? Because you are, as an affiliate, you understand this because you have access to your own click platform, right? But when you speak to the other party, do they understand that you may be looking at different data from a different platform than they are?
I guess this goes back to the previous point I made, right? That it's a lack of training and education.
Maybe a lack of communication as well?
But for you to communicate, you need to know what you're asking, right? Which comes down to the education or the training side of things. So you need to know what you're looking for. I mean, this is the same like if you're analyzing something. If you know what you're looking for, you're going to be able to troubleshoot the problem a lot easier if you're just in the air and hope to Christ that you're looking at the right thing, right? So I think that is the main difference. So, you know, asking like, okay, what platform are you using? Is there any intermediary platform in between? That is already a first step.
Okay, so if everyone reported on unique clicks tomorrow, how much confusion would disappear?
It would make things a lot simpler, but still not bulletproof, right? Because and then, like I was mentioning, you have fraud detection systems, ad blocker systems, strippers of URLs, and many other funky stuff that can happen in the meantime. But the unique clicks will get the accuracy a lot higher.
So how would it improve things?
From an accuracy, right? So like, it's one thing if they're comparing clicks to unique clicks and they're saying, oh no, we have a 50% difference. But unique clicks, and then you shouldn't have more than a 5 to 10% difference, right? Now, of course, there are different ways you can measure unique clicks, even though GDPR has made that very interesting, which is a big pet hate of mine, but let's not get into that. But yeah, basically, if you're comparing unique clicks, it's going to be a lot easier, a lot more accurate, a lot easier to troubleshoot for all parties, but then everyone needs to kind of stick to one or close to the same definition of what a unique click is.
Would you advocate for that?
I would.
Okay.
I would.
Why?
Because it's going to remove a lot of noise, right? It's going to make troubleshooting the problem a lot easier. It's going to allow you to focus on where the root cause of the problem is, you know. You can have a bot sometimes that is just clicking away at an ad, you know, and it's the same bot, so it's the same IP, which, fine, GDPR, we cannot use the IP, but you know, it's still coming from the same source, and then depending which tools you're using, they might count
so
as
it
one.
would reduce the noise.
Yes, it would reduce the noise, definitely.
Fantastic. So we spoke before about the different hops, right? So different clicks, different redirections, different hops. Yes. Explain this a little bit, how a single click can pass through multiple systems and what can happen, right?
Okay. So let's try and keep this So I'll try and use first an analogy, and then which kind of ties this, segues from the unique clicks into this, right?
Yeah.
So and I'll use a storefront analogy, right? So if a customer walks into a store and walks back out because they forgot their wallet, but then comes back in later, is that 2 customers or 1?
It's one customer.
So that's already where the problem starts, right? Because if systems are not able to differentiate between that, that's already one of the issues. Now, if we look at that at a redirect perspective, and we use the example given earlier of how expensive a keyword can be and the importance of converting that keyword. Now, bear in mind that the affiliates are, in my opinion, still the rock stars and the traffic ninjas. So they need to make sure that that click is converted almost every other time, right?
Okay, so but where does it go? What are the multiple paths?
It can go first to, for example, a fraud detection system, which will check for bots to make sure that at least any click which is being generated is not a bot click, because then that gets, in fact, Google does this very well, where it actually identifies the bots and actually gives a rebate for those clicks. So it actually those that it identifies, of course. But that already might create a discrepancy between the affiliate program and what you're seeing, because the affiliate program is still counting that click, right? Then you could have other systems in between, right? You could have an A/B testing framework, which you're trying to look at different parts to generate traffic and see which landing page is performing better. How does that look? So there's a number of different...
And then you can have multiple redirect of the landing page itself, of course. So is multi-hop fragility now permanent? So, I mean, because, of course, having something which is directed through different system makes it a bit weaker. Mm-hmm. So that fragility is going to be permanent. It's going to be there always.
I think it's only going to get worse.
Okay, why?
AI.
What does AI has to do with it?
I mean, where before... we used to talk about machine learning and big data, Now you can create an agent which can do a lot of funky stuff with your click, right? I mean, it's up to you.
What are funky stuff?
Funky stuff. That if a click doesn't convert, you would send that click elsewhere, right? And the AI can do that because it's powerful to do that.
So I can have a click that does not convert, and
I would send it somewhere else.
Where do you send it?
Other pages, other brands, whatever might be. I mean, the ideas are endless, right? And I've had the luxury of speaking to some really good affiliates, and even though I feel I'm quite well versed in the marketing realm.
Okay, I'm putting my head around this, right?
Uh-huh.
So where do I send that click?
There's always an end source, right? But basically what happens is if that click is not working, I'm going to find a way to redirect it. Now, it could be...
to do what?
To take another action. Now, I could either get the visitor to take another action, right? So someone who's come there, I would make them click again to go elsewhere. Or as I would find a way to redirect that click, if nothing happens from that click, to another system, to another deal, to another operator, to whatever might be.
So what's the end goal?
Convert.
Okay, so we're using one single click and pushing it away different direction until it converts?
Until it converts. I mean,
does it work?
Yes. When implemented successfully, yes.
Okay.
And it's not...
Is it a common practice?
It's not a common practice. Okay. I mean, it's a very advanced practice, and you need to know what you're doing.
So when is the discrepancy not noise anymore, but a real red flag? In terms of all this, in terms of these clicks and logs and stuff like this.
I think on the clicks perspective, it's there's never going to really be a clear-cut thing. I think the biggest thing is if you see a certain amount of registrations or FTDs, and those are not tallying up between the postbacks and what you're seeing in the affiliate program, right? I think those are the red flags for me, right?
So the red flags is actually the conversion rate.
Conversion, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, okay, you can calculate the click to sign up or click to FTD conversion rate, but ultimately, as long as the conversion happens, at least if those are tallying up, if I'm seeing 100 and you're seeing 100, we're good, If that's not happening, then obviously that's where, and then there are other issues which need to be looked at.
So what we discuss as well as cause of confusion is the not shared troubleshooting, right? People troubleshoot things on their end, and then it's difficult to actually come to an agreement of where the fault comes from. So even so the discussion we were having is most of the time, even when there is discussion, the discussion doesn't go anywhere. Nobody would admit fault. Is that a thing?
Again, I don't like the blame game.
It's not a blame game, right? It's a take on the situation, and now we're not going to blame affiliates, operator, or whatever. But what is it's a take on the situation, and how do we make it better?
We make it okay. Let's maybe focus on how to make it better, right?
But to make it better, we need to make a statement of what needs to be fixed, right? And if there is a problem into that communication.
So I think the problem is upskilling.
Okay.
Right? So you cannot, we talked before about an affiliate manager, who's normally the hunter looking for the FTDs. You cannot expect an affiliate manager to be able to troubleshoot a tracking problem the same way someone who is a technical marketeer, a web analyst.
Why not?
Let's say I've tried multiple times and failed miserably multiple times. You can teach an affiliate manager how to implement a link, yes, and how to test a post back, yes. But if there's a problem, because no one tracking problem is ever going to be the same as the other one, or very rarely, you need to be able to have a bit more technical depth.
So you think it's a training gap, a tooling gap, or a willingness gap of understanding the problem and solving it?
I would say all three.
All three?
I would say all three, right? The training gap being that we are in an industry which focuses on FTD and has forgotten completely about LTV and other important metrics to understand the true profitability of your brand and how it's working. And then there's also the willingness to learn that, but I think this is more top-down problem than it is bottom-up, because I think if people were given the opportunity, they would learn it.
So if every operator had a tracking expert, would it reduce the problems in their affiliate management team?
99% of the time, yes. But what I've come to realize is that tracking experts are hard to come by.
Okay, so the system isn't always broken, but the investigation layer is very often broken.
I like that. I think the investigation layer is a more accurate.
Okay.
Yes, I like that a lot.
Good. So explain this to me, because I've thought about this question quite a lot, trying to answer it myself, right? Why do billion-euro funnels still run on a weak measurement foundations? Because there are millions going through these click funnels and whatever. And what we're hearing is we don't measure things in the same way. We don't call them the same way. It's weak. There are many hops. It's very fragile. So how the hell is this still happening?
I mean, look, the clicks that are coming from the affiliate program to the brand, as long as the landing page is there, those are fine.
I like that.
Those are fine. As long as the landing page is still active, those are fine. There's no simple solution. I do feel that as an industry, from a tracking perspective, we are still in the Stone Age and need to take a book out of the e-commerce and finance sectors. 100%.
I was going to my next question, right?
Yeah. But that, I think we cannot be funneling, as you put it, millions of euros or dollars, whatever, through the accounts, and we cannot get these basics right. And this is, at the same time, is what has allowed different industries or different platforms to sprout, right? Just like my affiliates, and there are other platforms like Routy, which does the aggregation side of things, and brings all the affiliate programs together. So it depends what we're trying to achieve and advancing in the technology side of things a little bit.
Yeah, but maybe if the industry was a bit less cash rich, do you think we would be more willing to solve the problem and get to the bottom of these?
I don't think. I think the problem in the industry at the moment is that I'll launch a casino and I'll make money, and that is probably one of the biggest pain points, because it's no longer as easy as maybe it was 5-10 years ago, and secondly, like we touched on earlier, right? If I'm generating 5,000 FTDs, right, a month, which is fantastic, but then the player value or the lifetime value is 2 months, and doesn't even break even on the. I mean, when we run affiliate audits, we find that 20% of your traffic is actually what's generating 80% of your revenue, right? So
how can a data-rich industry still have basic knowledge and all these gaps, right? Because I don't get it. You know, I mean, we speak, you and I, quite often, and we have these rants. And we speak with people that have been in the industry with us for all these years, and we all say the same things. But why?
Why? I think it's just, a bit of a cash cow, and everyone kind of...
So that's what I was saying before.
Yeah, kind of get rich or die trying, right? Kind of approach. In fact, you see the brands that take things more seriously. Those are the ones that are successful, right? I mean, barring any stupid regulation of 40% tax in the UK, other than those things that can cripple a casino, those that do things the right way are successful.
So, Clint, who benefits of the lack of clarity in all this ecosystem?
Who benefits?
Yes.
The brand. The operator.
Why?
He puts the blame on you as the affiliate software and leaves the affiliates without their commission, right? So even if the player did come in, it's still a win-win for him.
Okay, so the operator. And who pays the cost?
The affiliate.
So let's be precise. Joe Hatch told us in the previous episode that there is confusion by design. Is that the case?
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Joe Hatch. Yes, I would agree with that point.
Okay, why?
Oof. Where to start from? I mean, I still put a lot of it down to the education side and the upskilling.
I agree.
I think I look back at when we started in the industry, there was a lot more willingness to learn. I don't feel that there is that same willingness to learn. But I also feel that upper management are just like, go get me FTDs without kind of explaining the full KPIs, and understanding what really is driving the business forward and what really means, what is a successful affiliate program? Is it having growth of 5%, 10% FTDs every month, or is it that the bottom line is growing higher and healthier every month, And this is something I feel that is not really communicated, which is why we get the cliche questions which we hear all too often.
Do you have
traffic? What geos? What CPA? Before even asking you your name, which from a sales perspective is so disingenuous. But anyway.
Okay. So, confusion by design, and that's where we're going to leave that chapter at, but it's quite worrying, right?
Yeah, and we need to also understand that the industry is very complex, Sometimes we try to simplify it, but there's a lot of moving parts. So confusion by design is quite accurate, but there's a lot of moving parts. So just have to decide which parts you're going to focus on.
You think there are power imbalances in tracking disputes?
Power imbalances between tracking disputes.
So when there is a tracking dispute between an operator and an affiliate, mostly who wins?
Who would I give the credit to? It will probably be the affiliate. Who will probably win will be the brand.
So is there a power imbalance?
To some degree, right? But I think we cannot have a blanket statement either, right? Because I feel that there's a lot of brands who are doing things and really working closely with the affiliates and treating them like their partners, as they should. And I think those are the ones which will win in the long term. This is why when someone tells me I have 500 affiliates, I'm like, okay, how many of them do you know personally? How many of them have built a relationship with, right? So depends who we're talking about, right? But in general.
Yeah, and we had Fabi as well on the podcast who was saying that there are some affiliates that are actually fraudulent affiliate, right? And that thrive, that are fraudulent affiliate that thrive on fake traffic, fake players and whatever. So we also need to see that from the operator's perspective.
100%, yeah. So we cannot, I'm not putting by any stretch of the imagination all the blame on the brands or the operators. Like I said, those that work legitimately and are trying to do things the right way to grow their bottom line and are looking at the data are going to succeed along. But yes, there are unfortunately on both sides of the fence some dodgy players.
So we have dodgy operators and dodgy affiliates.
Yes.
Yes, of course. So if we wanted confusion to reduce meaningfully in the next 12 months, what would need to change?
I can say what I would like to see change.
Yes, I'm ready to. I think it's a good idea.
I would say a harmonization of KPIs, at least across the affiliate side of things. So from the affiliate software to the affiliates and the brands.
So you're saying data standardization?
Correct.
Okay.
And net gaming revenue is net gaming revenue.
So
and it's always
one
the same.
single formula for the net gaming revenue.
think
So
that
we
would be-
call an FTD, and not an NRP, an NRC or whatever.
That's a bit different because if we use, let me use that example as like we used to do that, or we do that, where we have a new depositing customer, which is someone who registered and deposited within 24 hours of the registration, whilst the first time depositor will be someone who registered this month.
Okay, so we're putting different definitions here again and increasing the confusion, right?
But, okay, so yes, that will create a bit of a. Ooh, I was going to swear. That will
Well
create
done.
a bit of a mind fuck. But the reality is, and we've seen this in the numbers, a customer that registers and deposits within 24 hours has 3 times or 2 to 4 times higher value than someone who registers and deposits post 48 hours.
Okay, so let's go into the changes. What are we doing
So
to change?
harmonization of KPIs,
Okay.
Measuring on unique clicks, and
Again, with different definitions.
but unique clicks is going to be closer. I mean, unique clicks is quite we can standardize that as well, right? And for all those affiliate managers and operators and affiliates who want to upskill themselves to really source and look for the opportunities to do so, or reach out to the necessary people to do so, to really upskill and really be able to troubleshoot at a level playing field, I would say, because I think that is the hardest part at the moment.
Absolutely. Okay. Do you think there would be people resist those
Oh, yes,
changes?
yes.
Who?
I think we've experienced an incident similar to this. I think you're going to find... This is where the industry starts to show its true colors, right? So you're going to start seeing ego, entitlement, and a little bit of, I'm okay, fuck you, Jack.
Okay, so we don't want to name these people because that's not
No,
the
that's why
purpose of the exercise. But who are they in the ecosystem of the industry? Where they place them at? Where do you place them as operators, affiliates,
I would say more the affiliate software platform.
The affiliate software platform. Why?
Okay. Because I feel that the affiliate softwares most of them have never worked on a brand or an affiliate side. So there is a massive knowledge gap over there. But then you are also probably, or the affiliate softwares are also probably the ones who understand the reward plans and the structures around those better than anyone else, right?
So what you're saying is that the people that would resist changes and harmonization and standardization are the affiliate marketing software.
I would say that would be, or the dodgy ones on either side of the fence, right? On the brand or the affiliate side.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with this, but we can't go into that conversation now. No, it's for the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final question is: tracking isn't working often just a convenient sentence for we never agreed what working means?
No, I mean, for tracking to be working, the basic thing anyone should do is sign up. Not even deposit, even though you should probably run a simulated deposit as well, but sign up. If I sign up and I don't receive the registration, be it from a postback or within the affiliate program, then how are you even saying, we've had situations, yes, we went live. Okay, did you run a test? No. What do you mean you didn't run a test? How do you know that the tracking is working? I don't know, because we've done this before. Okay, but you're spending my budget, so can we test and make sure that the registration happens?
Okay, you've lost me here.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you the question again.
Okay.
Because
I went off topic.
No, because I did not get how. So my question was: is tracking not working a convenient sentence to cover other things, right? Because actually, in the discussion we just had, we've never actually agreed, or there is a lack of agreement into what is working and what is not working, or what is a click and what is not a click, right? So is that statement overstretched because it's actually a misunderstanding rather than a technology problem?
Yes, I mean, that would be the short answer, right? Which kind of ties back to kind of try and go full circle for everyone's benefit. The affiliate should always have a central source of truth and understand what that central source of truth should look like. The affiliate program or affiliate software or program, like affiliate managers, should have better qualification questions to be able to troubleshoot the problem better, and there should be a better harmonization and collaboration across the three parties.
I think that's very fair. Clint, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It was a real pleasure.
Likewise.
If there is one takeaway before we fight about outcomes, we need to agree of what we're counting and prove it. And thank you for everyone listening. See you next time.